Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jono from Spotlight, and super excited to be talking to Jono today, all the way from Australia. Thank you for tuning in early in the morning. Really appreciate you being here. How you doing, man?
I'm awesome. I was getting into that funky pre-tune you had. I don't know if the
Yeah,
people
yeah.
listening on live could hear that music, but
Mm,
I was jamming to it. I
mm,
was dancing
mm,
to it. So
mm.
I'm excited to get into it.
Getting the morning started right. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And before we hop in, I'm just going to get my little spiel out of the way. If this is your first time here at a Spotlight event, hop in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from, what you're excited to learn, how you heard about Spotlight, how you heard about Jono, anything like that. And ask any questions throughout the event. We'll do our best to answer them as we go. And if we don't get to you right away, we are not ignoring you. We have a little time at the end, too, to catch up with anything we didn't get to. And also, if you have a good time at any point during this event, please like and subscribe to the Spotlight channel. We're doing this every week and trying to bring these valuable creators and valuable lessons to you because there are so many challenges with starting an online business, running an online business, and it takes help. It takes a community that's very real. And also, don't forget, don't rush to them now. But at the end of the event, in the description, you can find out more about Jono and his Facebook groups and his courses, and also a wealth of resources from Spotlight as well for you there. So make sure to check all of those out before you close the page today. And without further ado, to get to the meat of this, we are talking to Jono today about building Facebook groups and specifically how do you monetize those? How do you run them well? There's a lot of challenges. And at Spotlight, we're big proponents of communities, but also we see a lot of creators start communities without putting the time and effort or without understanding that it can be a fair amount of work or that you need to have some things figured out before you do. Because if you don't show up engaged, your audience isn't going to be engaged. A lot of things to think of. But that's why we do these events, so we can talk to actual creators who are doing these things and put it all in context. So, Jono, if you could introduce yourself, let us know a little bit about you and summarize your journey a little bit. Where were you before you started creating online courses or Facebook groups or all of that? Where are you today? And roughly, how did you get there?
Awesome. Wow. Okay. Big a lot going on there. My plan was to summarize that in about that could be a full podcast there, but I'll try and summarize that in about 5 minutes.
Cheers.
Just before I do, I'm seeing some comments coming through, which is awesome. So, hello everybody. I see Dana, Elizabeth, Peter, Cynthia, Stephen, Too Close to the Moon, Laura. So, anyone watching, feel free to just comment below, and yeah, let us know where you're from. I'm a Sydney, Australia guy, so I'd love to see. I don't think we've got any other Aussies in here yet, but that's cool. Wherever you're from. And I'd love to also hear everyone else's experiences with Facebook groups. Maybe just say yes or no. Like, do you have a Facebook group? Yes or no? Just type yes or no down below so I can kind of see where everyone's from there. And if you do, maybe, or either way, if you've got anything in specific you want me and Jonah to cover today, just comment it down below and then we can go from there. But I'll share a little bit about myself. So I do a few different things, but I want to keep it as simple as possible. My major thing that I do is I actually I run an online course business for personal trainers, for fitness trainers. I've got a whole heap of different online courses that help personal fitness trainers become better trainers. Some of them are like physical stuff. Some of them are like business stuff. That's my main thing. I now also help, and that's a very successful business. It does close to about $1 million a year in revenue. We've had it for about 7 or 8 years now, so that's quite successful. Now I also help other creators kind of, emulate that thing as well. But in terms of how I got there, I was actually a personal trainer myself. I ran a boot camp. And long story short, I used to suck at it. Listen to this, Jonah. I was like at this boot camp, there were 75 different locations all across Australia and New Zealand. And you were ranked on how good you were. You'd log onto your dashboard and it would have the rankings, who's number 1, who's number 13, who's number 75. Take a guess what I was ranked at the start. 1 being the best, 75 being the worst.
Like the day one of starting, or
Oh, say six to 9 months in.
couldn't have been the worst.
What's your number?
Wait, 75 was best?
No, 75 was worst. 1 was the best, 75 was the worst.
From my own experience, this is not commenting on you, but having been there, I would probably say like 72.
I wish. You're too kind. I was 70. Sandler says 76. I was
Uh,
75, right? I
oh,
was dead last. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
so
yeah.
real though. That's
Y
yep.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, but here's the thing, I loved what I did. I was bad at it, but I loved what I did, and I wanted to keep doing it. I didn't want to, go and get a job, I wanted to stay in here. And I pretty much had an ultimatum from the franchise owners. You had to go to this conference, and they were like, "Look, Jono, like, with your numbers here, it's not kind of worth keeping you on. We'll give you a year.
Mhm.
You either need to improve your numbers, or look, we got to close your location." And that kind of gave me a kick up the bum. And I was like, "Oh, I got to do better. What have I got to do?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. What can I do?" And the first thing I did is I just went on Google and I typed in courses to be a better personal trainer, right? And
There you
and a
go.
few,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It sounds obvious now, right? And to be fair, this was 2014, and it was a bit more stressful, and there were a lot of things going on, right? But it was kind of like, yeah, it was like, all right, I did a course, and it was great. I learned some things, got some extra clients, kept some extra clients, and you improve my numbers. And I was like, right, you know what? I'm going to do another course, and then another course, and then another course, right? Fast forward 12 months later, went back to that same conference. Now, what do you think I was ranked, Jonah? 1 to
Uh,
75.
24.
Number one,
No
right?
kidding.
Number one. Yeah, yeah,
Hey.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I had the busiest boot camp in the franchise, kept growing for another year, opened up another location. And what kind of happened was like other trainers would ask me, Jono, how you doing this, man? We remember you when you were the worst. What are you doing? How'd you get to number one? How you got all these clients? What workouts are you doing? What marketing are you doing? What sales are you doing? And at the start, I tried to kind of help them here and there. Oh, look, just do this, 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 and read this book and do this course and do this workout and then read this and then do that, And they're just like, yeah, thanks. And they do none of it, right? So I was like, I
Yeah.
was like, I need to have something more structured. I need to put together like, hey, if you suck at running a boot camp, you can't be any worse than I was. So if you suck at running a boot camp, follow this exact structure and you will get better at it. There's no way you can't, right? And as I was always doing courses myself as well, but I'd also see some gaps in these courses. And I was like, hold on, I'm doing these courses. I'm always learning something. I feel I can put something into the market that's better, or if not better, at least different to anything else out there. So that's how I created my first course. And there's a bit of a story there about how to create it, whatever. I don't think we'll get into that today, but there was a story of creating the course and then obviously launching the first course. And like most people, it was slow at the start, but then it got busier, busier, busier. Built another course, built another course, built another course. That's where I am today. We've got something like 30 to 40 different courses hosted on Teachable. Generates give or take about $1 million a year in revenue. And our biggest community is our Facebook group. We actually have the largest Facebook group in the world for fitness professionals, with about 15,000 members in there. So that's kind of a bit of a background story. And I guess if we were going
Hmm.
to expand onto that as well, I got that business to a good place. Now people are asking me, well, man, how did you do that? Don't teach us about fitness. We don't care about fitness. Like, how do you sell these courses? How do you build these Facebook groups? So that's when I started the course creator community. And I did what I know best: Facebook groups. Started a Facebook group for that. That's built to about 7,000 people now. It's been going for a couple of years, and it's one of the most engaged and supportive Facebook groups in the online course space. So if you guys are listening in the chat, feel free to type in course creator community into Facebook, and you'll see my group there.
Wow, that's a cool I love hearing that, and it's a whole other thing to unpack the mentality of
Mm,
being in last place, but still going for it and still working at it. That's we just don't have time to get into that, but that is so
mm,
valuable in itself. But I do want to call out just as you were talking, people are chiming in here. Yes, have a Facebook group. It's free now. Want to move it to paid. Yes, but abandoned it. Very real. Been there.
mm,
And then wondering how suitable Facebook groups are for business related courses rather than individuals. And our company does a lot of lives, but want to get paid, monitored community for clients. So, bunch of people are chatting in here, but I just wanted to outline as you were talking, people are hopping in and very sharing the experience of their part of their journey. Um, but man, you gave me so much to dig into there. But I am a little curious because you kind of gave an overview there, but like when did you said you went to Facebook groups because it's what you knew best. Had you
oh, yeah.
monetized a Facebook group before? Had you really done
Okay.
that?
Yeah, good
Yeah.
question. So when I ran my physical boot camp, my physical face-to-face boot camp, I had like a Facebook group that went along with it. So it was
Ah,
like you join up, you sign up for the boot camp, we train at 6 a.m. every morning. On top of that, we also have a Facebook group. This is where we share updates and I give little tips so we get to know each other and that sort of stuff there, right? Now, when I first started running that boot camp, I put zero effort into that Facebook group. I was a 25-year-old guy in, 2012 or whatever it was. I was like, Facebook group? Why would I have a Facebook group? I'm a personal trainer. We go and train, clients are going to stay with me because they train. And I remember like when I was coming 75th, I had to have a meeting with the franchise owners. And they were like, look, one problem we see is your Facebook group. It's not very interactive. No one's posting. You're not posting anything in there. And I'm like, really? Out of all the things wrong with my business, with my personal training, you're telling me a Facebook group? And they're like, yeah. And it was the whole argument. And they're like, look, Jono, let's put it in perspective. You're coming 75th out of 75, and we own all 75 boot camps. Maybe we know something you don't.
fair.
And I was like, got me.
Yeah.
so, so I put a lot of effort into that Facebook
Ah,
group. And what I found is that the more engaging that Facebook group, the longer my clients would stay for. Right. Because in today's society, it's kind of like you go
huh,
for a boot camp, you leave early, you get there right on time. Everything's in a rush, but you're on the train, you check your phone. Oh, what's everyone in the group up to? Oh, let me add this person as a friend. Oh, let me comment on that person's thing. And now when they would go to training, oh, hey, Jonah, how are you? Hey, I saw on Facebook you got a new
right.
dog. What's its name? It's so cute. And I learned the intricacies of how to run a successful Facebook group in a kind of easier way, because it's so much easier to run a Facebook group attached to a face-to-face business, right? It's way easier to do that than an online business if you're using it for marketing purposes. But that kind of gave me a foot in the door, right? So when
Mm,
I started fitness education online, I had no idea how to market because I was really doing a face-to-face business, a boot camp. People walk past the park and they see you, like
right.
it's a bit harder to do that with an online course. So I was like, well, I don't know a heap about marketing, but what I do know is Facebook groups. I know how to get engagement in there. And I've got a lot of friends in the industry anyway. So I know that, and especially with what I do, because it's a niche thing, fitness education online. It's not the kind of thing where if I posted on my Facebook, on my personal Facebook profile, at that time when I just had like friends and client and personal training clients, not like maybe 10% of my friends were personal trainers. So if I made a post on Facebook, 90% of people wouldn't care about it, and it would affect my reach and all that sort of stuff. But I was like, right, I'm going to create a Facebook group. Those 100 people of my friends and colleagues and whatever, they'll be the start point for the Facebook group. And then anyone else that does the course, or when I meet people or whatever, I can say, hey, I got this Facebook group, go and join it here. Now, even with that group sucked at the start, right? Because it's different. It's completely different. I,
Yeah.
I was I was probably better than someone that had never started a Facebook group. But a lot of some of the things that worked in person also worked with a strictly online business, but not all of them. So that took me a good couple years really to get that group to a stage where people, because my idea of a good Facebook group, and I'd love to get some opinions from everyone else here in the chat as well. My idea of a good Facebook group is it's more about other people posting than me, right? If I go into a Facebook group and it's just the admin posting, that's not a community. That's just a person trying to sell you something, right?
Yep.
I want to go into a Facebook group and there's more other people posting and other people replying to those questions there. To me, that's the sign of a community, right? So that took me a couple years on fitness education online to kind of master that. But then I mastered it, right? And I'm like, man, I know every trick in the book with a Facebook group. And then I kind of had a bit of doubt in my mind, though. I was like, okay, I've built this group, but I started a long time ago. I know what I'm doing. Like, if I was to start again, could I have the same sort of success?
Mm,
Right. And I doubted myself, but I was like, you know what? This will be an interesting project. I want to get into the helping course creators anyway. Let me start up a Facebook group today, and using everything that I know now, how quick can I grow it and how engaged can I get it? So that's where I started the course creator community group. And then that just on fire because I knew every trick in the book from the start. So
right.
literally, I think I had 5,000 members in the first year, and it was like super
Wow.
engaging and that, and like with very little work involved. And I'm not saying it's like at the start you need to do a little bit of work for the community, but because I had the experience, I knew what I was doing, I knew how to leverage. I was able to do it probably quicker than most people there. And then the next step from there was like, all right, that worked for me. That's all well and good, but I know what I'm doing. I've got the experience. If I gave this formula to somebody else, could they emulate that formula? And that's where I put together a group, or sorry, a course for course creators, specifically about growing a Facebook group, and then students will get similar results as well. Like, man, this is sick. I followed this, and I got 100 new members this week, and I got 70 new members this week, and I followed your engagement strategy, and I've got so much more engagement than I've ever had, and I've followed your sales strategies. Now I'm making sales straight from the Facebook group. So that's what kind of validated it for me. It's like, did it face to face, made some mistakes, then got better. Did it online, made some mistakes, then got better. Then did it online from the start, and I'm like, I've got it. I've got the secret to that. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. So a couple tangent technical questions, but based on who's been popping in the chat, I think these questions are valuable. So how and want to call out, you have a whole course on how to start a Facebook group, so I'm sure you get deep into this. But
Yeah. Yeah.
the problem I see a lot of people starting out is just total blank of how to
Yeah.
get anyone
Gotcha.
into the group to start, and then also, do you start paid right off the bat, or do you build the community? I have some questions later on diving deeper into monetizing it, but just that base level of like square one, how do
Yep.
you get your first 100 people, and
Awesome
are they
question.
paying, right?
Yep. Awesome question. So my suggestion would be go one way or the other,
Mm,
right? Either you, because I've made this mistake as well, and still in one group I've got two. I would either make it a free group or a paid group, right? It's very hard to have a free group and a paid group as well. And I'd love to get some feedback in the chat. Has anyone tried that? And it's just like, oh, well, what do I post in this one? And what do I post in this one? And now it's so much work. So I recommend make a call. It's one or the other. It's either you're growing a Facebook group. It's kind of like your lead generation strategy. That's what I do. I'm not big on Instagram. I'm not big on TikTok. I'm not big on YouTube. Like, I use my Facebook group as a way for people to find me. They join the group, they enter their email address, they're on my list. I post stuff on that Facebook group there. Like, that's kind of my lead gen strategy. And we'll talk about engagement as we go on as well. But it can often help your free group if your paid members are in there as well. Like, people that do my course, they don't go into a paid group, they go into that group. But that's great because they're posting like, man, I did this course, it was awesome. Hey, I'm doing this course and I got a question. And that gets the freebie people to be like, oh, they've got a course on that? Oh, where's this course? Let me get details, Or they're like, oh, I didn't know they had a course. Let me get the details on this. Because your paid people are usually your most engaged, right? So that would be my call. Either go free or go paid. What I think we speak about today is the free side of things, because that's what I think most people will get the most out of here. So the first 100 members is a good question, because this is where it gets a bit tricky as well. This is where it's kind of like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So I wouldn't start a Facebook group unless you've got 100 people ready to go, right?
ah, ah,
Let's
yeah.
say with my fitness education online group, when I started that, I had 100 people ready to go because I'd been in the industry. I knew 100 people, right? So I could start that group, and off the bang, there were 100 people in there. And I could, as people join, hey, make sure to introduce yourself. Say what you do. So that way, there from day one, like, there was people in the group, there was engagement in the group, and also it gave me a bit more positioning because they were all my friends. So, like, if I made a post, people would actually like it and comment because they knew me personally, right? But now let's say when new people came into that group, let's say I had 100 friends in that group, and then, a couple randoms found it the next week, and there's 5 of them. Who's this Jono guy? Why should I listen to this Jono guy? Oh, wow, he makes a post and all these people like it and comment. He must be a heavy hitter. Little do they know, they're actually my friends, right? And then so it gives you off to a good start, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that as well, that there's a couple of things that's easier to get people in. Because if I said to you, Jonah, hey, I got this Facebook group, there's 5 people in there, do you want to join?
No.
Good luck, man.
Yeah.
Because there's no value. There's no value for
Yeah.
it. Like, why are you going to join there if there's no one posting and no one? And to be fair, numbers isn't everything. Because I've seen groups with 5,000 people, but if no one's commenting and if you ask a question and no one answers, well, there's no value. Or if no one's posting, so numbers isn't everything. But at the start, it's easier to get people in if you got a couple hundred people in there, right? And then on top of that, it kind of helps with the algorithm as well. Like, if you start your group with 100 people and there's people liking and commenting and there's engagement going on there, chances are Facebook is going to recommend that to other people. If you start it with 5 people, there's going to be nothing going on. Facebook's not going to show it. You're probably going to give up on it because you're like, oh man, this is so much work. Why am I posting for 5 people? So and I'll talk about how to get those first 100 as well, because people might be listening. So it's like, well, how do I get those first 100? But that's my suggestion. If you've got that first 100, great, you're ready to go, right? If you don't have that first 100, and that's okay, because that was me with the course creator community. I didn't know any course creators. I was the only one, right? Because I knew fitness people. I didn't know course creators. So I was like, I want to start this group, but I know I need 100 ideal people here. How am I going to find those ideal 100 people, right? And essentially, and you can use any strategy you want, but the easiest is just networking on Facebook, right? It would essentially be, and I'll give some tips here, and I'll start really basic, so some people might already know this, so we can talk about some specific Facebook strategies as well. But like the easiest thing, or the first kind of step, is to optimize your personal profile a bit, to make it look a bit more like a business type of profile. Put a nice photo on there, say what you do in the banner, say what you do in the description. Like that's what I learned at the start. I started networking with people, but I hadn't optimized that. And people, like, they'd go to my about, and it's got, what middle school I went to, what date I joined Facebook, how complicated my relationship is. I got rid of all of them and just made it right. This is what this guy does. He helps fitness professional. He's got all these courses for fitness professionals. So if I was to network with someone on Facebook, they look at my thing, they know who I am. That's a whole nother discussion if we talk about using your personal profile for business, yada, yada, yada. But let's even just keep it simple for now. I'm not saying you need to just post all business stuff on there, but just optimize it. So if you did send someone a friend request, or if you answered someone's question in a Facebook group and they were like, well, why should I listen to this person? They have a look, and you're actually positioned in a way that shows you at the expert, right? Yes, Tavia. I see Tavia's question there. 100%. I'm not a fan of Facebook business pages. So Tavia says, make your personal page look professional rather than start a business page. Yep, 100%. All right. And we'll speak about that as we go on, right? But that's kind of number one, right? The next thing you want to do is you need to find a way to grow a list. And there's a few different reasons why this is important, right? It's kind of like, even when you're growing your Facebook group, you kind of need a strategy. Yes, people are going to find it organically, and I'll give tips on that as well. But like at the start, you need to find a way to be like, hey, I got this Facebook group, come and join it. Right. And you ideally want to have that before you've started the Facebook group. So when you start the Facebook group, you've got, not only do you have those first 100, but you've also got a flow of people going in, right? So the easiest thing is optimize your personal profile. That's an awesome question by Peter. I'll get to that. You know what? I'm going to get to that now. Right? Can we bring? So Peter said, if setting up a Facebook group, should you use your own name or a business name? All right. Now, I've actually got a very specific formula for this, and I want to address this because it's an important question. But then I want to get back, because I still wouldn't start I want to share people how to get those first 100 in there, right? But what you want to have in a Facebook group, I've got a few different formulas that I use. The easiest one is just the Who community, right? So what do I mean by that? I run a group for course creators. So I call it the course creator community, right? Let's say I've got a group for Australian personal trainers, the Australian personal trainer community, right? Doesn't need to be the word community. You can call it, what are some other words? The movement, the course creator movement.
Oh, nice. I like that.
The course creator hub, whatever. Some sort of synonym with the word community, because chances are someone might already have community in the moment if you're in a popular space. So yeah, your niche, and then whatever it is, the Australian real estate agents, the real estate community, whatever it may be. You can tag your name at the end of that, the course creator community by Jono Petrohilos, right? So I want to position my name there. But the reason why that's so important is there's people every single day typing into Facebook, course creator, right? Groups for course creator. I'm getting free traffic from Facebook every single day from people just typing that in. Right now, there's a few other groups with similar names. So the more engagement and people you have, the higher up you come, and it's kind of like a spiral. But just from SEO, if you name it what your niche, like, and I'll give you a good example here, Jonah. All right. So a friend of mine is a mortgage broker. Right. So he runs a business where he helps other mortgage brokers. Right. And it's called Python Wealth. Okay. So he's like, man, I started this Facebook group, to get leads. Guess what I called it? I called it the Snake Pit. Get it? Python Wealth Snake Pit. And to be honest, it's smart. It's clever. It's
branding.
Catchy.
Yeah.
It's branding, but like no one's typing accountants aren't typing in snake pit you know who you're
Or
going to
those
get?
aren't the accountants you want to work
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to get
Yeah.
snake enthusiasts, you know? Can you bring Annette's question up as well, Jonah? I'll get to that in a sec as well, but just so we don't forget that one there. So yeah, if you name it after your niche, you're going to get people searching it and finding it. But on top of that as well, when that group pops up in suggested groups, people are more likely to join. Let's use my friend as an example. Maybe he's getting good engagement and it's shown to other accountants because it's similar in there or whatever. But if it's called the snake pit, the accountant might not know that they want to join that group, you know? If it's called the Australian real estate community, oh, I'm an Australian real estate agent. The goal is you almost want people
Well,
to feel left out if they're not in there. You know, there's one for
yeah.
Personal Trainers United. You know, like I feel left out if I'm a personal trainer and not in that group, right? So that's the naming thing there. That's important once you start your group, you know, and these kind of stack on. It's like you start your group, you've got your ideal 100 people, they go in there from the start, you've named it appropriately as well. You've also got some engagement strategies there. It just leads one to the other, to the other, to the other, and you start with a bang and you never look back. All right.
Right.
Let's go back to those first 100 people though, because I think that's important. So optimizing your profile's okay at the start. I'll cover rule. Well, you can get it in my course, Peter. But if we get time at the end, I'll also share my group rules there as well. I might even be able to share or you know what, group rules. Even join my group, Peter, might be the easiest, and then you can just see exactly what my rules are, and then use those as your template there. But what was I going to say? Yeah, the first 100.
Yeah.
First 100. Yeah. So like, changing your personal profile to look more professional only works if you're actually networking on Facebook, right? Just by changing it, no one's just going to find you like that, right? That's not what Facebook is about, okay? So ideally what you want to do is then start networking, all right? Now, many different ways to do it. I'm just going to give a simplified version here, is just join other Facebook groups where your audience hangs out. All right. Don't even worry about because different groups have different rules about promoting and not promoting and that sort of thing. Don't even worry. We'll get to that in a sec. Right. All you want to do for now is just join different groups where your avatar hangs out, because you're going to learn two things, right? You're going to learn about your avatar. Okay. What questions are they asking? You know, how can I help? But you're also going to learn about Facebook groups. Okay. What groups are run really well? What groups are run really bad? Okay, when I start my Facebook group, I'm going to make it more like this one or less like this one, or I'm going to take this from this one and this from this one and this from this one and this from this one, you know? So just join those groups and see what's going on, but also help, right? If you see a question that you can answer, go and like it and answer the question. Now, you're not doing this so that you're kind of doing this to grow your Facebook group, but not really at this stage. You're just doing it to be a good person, right? People are going to come if you just be a good person, right? If there's other things as well, but let's even just keep that at its most simple level, right? You join different Facebook groups, you just interact in those Facebook groups, you help people out where they can. From that, you're going to grow your audience a bit organically anyway, because people are going to friend request you. People are going to say, hey, you know, that's such a good tip, you know? And this also sets you up so when you do start posting, if you've been genuinely helping people, because and I'll ask you this question, Jonah. If you join or let's say you own a Facebook, or you're in a Facebook group or whatever, and this guy joins yesterday and all of a sudden starts posting and giving tips and that, even if he's not promoting his own business, his or her own business, it looks a bit weird. Like, this guy joined yesterday and he's just kind of promoting himself. It looks a bit weird, right?
Yeah. Who does he think he is?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
But let's say that person had spent a month in that group just out of the goodness of their heart, you know, helping people out. You know, now if that person, oh, I know that guy, he's such a nice guy. He helped me out. He answered this question. He asked that out there, you know, so it's kind of setting yourself up for the future as well, right? So that's kind of step 2 there. Now, those 2 things are a good start, but if you just do those 2 things, it's going to take forever to get 100 people, right? You need to kind of do some things to accelerate it there. The next easy thing to do is promoting groups that allow promotions. So there's certain groups that say, hey, you know, you can promote your business, you know, whatever, every Tuesday or whatever it may be. I'll give a couple suggestions there. I don't like promoting Facebook group to Facebook group, right? It's a bit weird. Like if someone, I've got my own promotion rules. We can cover that in a sec. But let's say I did have a promo day and someone posted in my group and like, hey, I got this group for course creators, join. I'm a bit like, I get it. It's promo day, but come on, man. Like, you know, it's straight competitive to competitive, you know? So I think it's easier to start a lead, to post about a lead magnet, right? So if you are in another group and they allow a promo day, and let's use course creator as an example. Let's say you're a course creator too, and I do a promo day. Don't go in my group and say, hey, I got another group, come and join it. But you might say, hey, I've got this checklist on how to create your first online course. Who would want it? All right. Fair's fair. It's not a direct thing. And then someone opts into your list. Then maybe in your freebie or in your emails, you can say, hey, I got this Facebook group, come and join it. Right.
Right.
So
Right.
that's another tip to grow it up. And ideally, you should be able to find 4 or 5 groups in your space that allow promos, and then just keep tabs on it. Okay, Monday I can post in this group, Tuesday in this one, Wednesday in this one, Thursday in this one, Friday in this one. Great, I can post something every day. There is also like a strategy to making sure that you get engagement. I don't think we'll have time to kind of go into it here, but that's just what I would tell the listeners as well. Like if you simply just say, hey, here's a freebie and insert a link, no one's
No
even going
one,
to see
yeah.
that. Yeah, no one's going to see it. But if you can craft a bit of a post, you got a good photo and it's someone like, hey, I got this freebie, it's perfect if you're this, and, or I've got this course, it's perfect. It'll help you do this, and this. It's perfect if it's this, and this. Comment below if you want a copy. And then whoever wants a copy, hey, is it cool? Maybe reply to their comment, or maybe send, I like the DM. I'll send it in a DM, hey, Jono, you wanted this free thing here. Is it cool if I send it on here? Great. Here you go. Here's the free thing here. Let me know what you think. Oh, hey, by the way, I got a Facebook group. Once you've started your Facebook group, hey, by the way, I got a Facebook group. If you want to join. Right? Something like that there. That's an easy way to do it. The issue with that is that it may be tough to find groups that allow promos, or a lot of the time, groups that allow promos are bad groups to be in because everyone just promos and it ruins kind of the experience, right? The
It's
best,
just people promoting, right?
yeah, exactly. There's no
Not your
value there,
target.
right?
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
I might quickly share my group rules because I think this will be valuable here as well. So I let people promote, providing they clear it with me first,
Hmm.
right? That way, like I know it's not just going to be a whole heap of promotions going on. That way I can kind of vet the promotions a bit. It's kind of like, is this something I really want in my group? I can say yes or no. I might charge for it as well, depending on what it is. Like if it's someone that's helping out, if it's someone that's starting off and I want to help them out, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Post it, just write cleared by admin up the top. If it's someone that's a bit of a heavy hitter, I'm going to charge them for it. That's another way to monetize.
Yeah.
You can post. Yeah, you can post that, but it's $200 for a post, right? Or whatever your charge may be. Or another way is just to bank a favor. Yeah, hey, you can post that. Hey, by the way, I see you've got a podcast. I'd love to be a guest on your podcast. Is that something I could do? Oh yeah, you can definitely post that. Hey, I see you've got a decent following on Instagram. You reckon you can give me a shout out on Instagram? Now, if they say no to that, like fair's kind of fair. So I kind of let people, because here's my take on it. I don't want my group to be all about promotion, but I want to help people out. I know how hard it is at the start to get started. And if no group's allowed any promotion, no one would ever get started. So I'm like, yeah, you can promote, but you just got to clear it by me first. And then it gives me a bit more power. I might say yes, I might say no, I might charge for it, I might bank a favor. It kind of gives me options there, right?
Well, and a clever way to network within your own group and learn a
Yeah,
little more because those are the people getting out there. Who knows where those businesses go down the road? That's really, I like that a lot.
it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
really smart.
And it's
Yeah.
better than just a blanket, no, you can't promote. Like I don't like that. But I'll give another little tip as well. All right. So let's say, for example, you can't find any groups that allow network or that allow promos or whatever. You can even do a post that's just like a networking kind of post. Like, let's say, for example, I might go. Let's talk about me in like the fitness space, right? Let's say I want to connect with other personal trainers. I might join a group where there's whatever fitness enthusiasts or whatever, and I might just make a post. Hey guys, Australian personal trainer here. Would love to connect with anyone else that's currently working in the fitness industry. Anyone else keen to connect? Some sort of post like that. Now, if anyone types yes down below to that, I know they're open to networking. Friend request, friend request, friend request, friend request, friend. I'm not just randomly adding people. These are people that I've made a post and they've said, yes, I want to connect, right? So that's another little trick that you can use to get in there as well. On top of that as well, you can friend request other people's in the group. You want to be a little bit careful of this, right? Because let's say someone joined my Facebook group and they were like, even if they're not a competitor, but let's say they had a similar kind of target market, if they joined my Facebook group and just started friend requesting and DMing everyone in my group, like, see you later, bye. Those people are blocked, right? Yeah. So if you are going to use that strategy, what I recommend is you only want to friend request people that are open to networking. Now, there's 2 ways that I use to distinguish that. If let's say you're in a Facebook group and you click on someone's name, their profile will come up and it'll tell you how much similar Facebook groups you're in and also how much mutual friends you have, right? Now, let's say I click on your name, Jonah, and we're only in one similar Facebook group and we have zero mutual friends. Chances are you're not the type of person that likes networking online.
Hmm.
If I send you a friend request, you might, report me, you might block me, you might whatever. But let's say I click on someone else's name and we're in 5 different similar groups and we've got 15 mutual friends. Well, hold on, that person's open for networking. They'd probably be a really good fit for my group. But yeah, anyways, there's some different strategies you can use at the start. Once you kind of build that to 100, then it's time to start the Facebook group. What you want to make sure you do with your Facebook group is you start it, right? You name it appropriately. We've touched on that as well. You invite all those 100, maybe not all of them will come in, right? But you at least ask all of them or invite all of them or email, whatever your kind of strategy is, and you're going to get 50, 60 people off the bat on that. You've also got a strategy that to grow that Facebook group. So you're going to keep using that strategy. Whatever you did to get those first 100 people, you're going to keep using that. You might not need to work as hard now because you kind of built the base. You've got a group of people in there. They're going to invite their friends in there. People are, you name it appropriately. Facebook's going to show it to a few people. There's right bunch of people in there. People will recommend it. I found the sweet spot is around 500 to 1,000 members. So like the first 500 people that I joined my group were pretty much people I just networked with. I was just hustling for a month or whatever, and got 500 people in there. But after it got to 500, I could see it. It was just like, man, I went from now, instead of me inviting every single person in here, there's like 10, 15 people a day that I've never heard of. Because one of the questions I ask is, how did you hear about me? And it's just like typed in Facebook, recommended Facebook, typed in Facebook. So, it's kind of like that first 500 is hard work.
Yeah.
But then after that, it gets, and now I do absolutely nothing. I just sit back and it grows on autopilot. But there's one missing component I haven't quite touched on is also engagement. What I recommend as well, and what worked really well for me in the course creator community, is I had a strategy for engagement before I even started the group. So that way it wasn't just a Facebook group that people were in and that I had to post on. I had like 7 or 8 specific strategies that I used to make sure that engagement happened. And I'd love to share a few of them now, if I can, Jonah.
Yes, please. That was my next question is now you
Yep.
have a group. How do you engage people and make sure that,
Yep.
it's an active space?
Awesome. So there's a couple things off the start, right? I'll share the general kind of principles, but then I'll get into some specific tactics. So number one, you want to make sure it's just your ideal people in there. It's easy at the start to want to grow it, and you just kind of invite anyone in there to have more numbers and whatever, but that's going to hurt you long time. The more specific, the better. So let's say fitness education online, I only let certified personal trainers in there. That's one of the questions. Are you a certified personal trainer? I don't care if you're a fitness enthusiast, a bodybuilder, you're not in there if you don't work in the fitness industry, right? That way I know that the questions and the conversations are so much better than just a general group. Same with the course creator community. You have to either have a course or be creating a course or thinking about course to join that group there. It's a very specific audience there, right? Number 2 is kind of like your management style, because Facebook's a funny place, right? It's kind of like people might say things in a comment on Facebook that they wouldn't dare say to real life, right? Now, I'm very strict on that. I've got a strict rule, no dickheads policy. All right, it's it's we use that over here in Australia in our kind of
Nice and
sporting team.
simple.
Yeah. Well, we use that here in Australia in our sporting teams, probably all over the world as well. If there's that player that they're a good player, but they kind of cause trouble and that, you don't want them in there. They ruin the whole experience. And I knew this from back in my days of running a boot camp. I could have 20 people in that session. 19 of them could be beautiful people, but if that one person is criticizing other people and insulting other people and being really negative, that brings the whole mood down of those 19, and those 19 won't come back. I'm better off kicking out that one person and keeping the 19 than trying to keep all 20. I use a similar style on Facebook. If someone makes a post and someone has a dig at them in the comments, like, oh, you don't know that, how far behind are you, or whatever. And I'm just throwing out things here. I'm sure we've all seen, Facebook comments that can come, and this is in my group rules as well. I'm like, hey, if you criticize or insult someone, like, you get kicked out of the group. I'm very strict on that, right? If I see that, I ban the person straight away with no warning,
Mm.
right? Because all it takes is someone to make, people are self-conscious enough as it is. They make
Yeah,
one,
nobody needs that.
yeah, and let's say they make a post in my Facebook group and one person leaves a negative comment. That person's going to be like, oh, this is a bad group. Everyone here is assholes. I'm leaving this group, right? I can't have that. I needed a safe space so people know they can post whatever they want and they're not going to get criticized or insulted or bullied or anything like that. That's kind of key, because if you don't have that, doesn't matter what the tactics I share are, it's not going to work, right? And then the third thing is promotional rules. You want to have a strategy for if people are allowed to promote or not. My personal one is you can, but you got to clear it with me first. We touched on that there as well. I don't like promos at any time because it just becomes too promotional. I don't like in my group having the promo day. I like it in other groups because it can, I can promote my stuff in there. But in my personal group, I don't like it because I think it attracts the wrong kind of crowd. I think if you have a
Uh,
day where you're like, hey, every Tuesday you can promote, you may not get your ideal avatar or client. You might get like competitors or people that sell your thing that are joining your group just to post every Tuesday or whatever it is, like, and they
right,
don't do
right.
anything else. They don't like, they don't comment, they don't post. They've got it on their calendar. Oh, Tuesday I can promo in this group here, So anyway, each to their own with their kind of rules and that. But my personal one is, yes, you can promote, but you got to clear it with me first, and then it kind of gives them a bit of leverage, right? Now,
Huh.
that stuff good, but that won't get engagement on its own. You kind of need that as like a to when I use these tactics here that I'm going to share here. All right. So I got a heap of them, but I'll just share the most simple ones that anyone can implement immediately. The easiest one is the new member post. So any single person that joins my Facebook group, either me or my virtual assistant, will send them a DM and say, "Hey, Jonah, welcome to the Facebook group. Just letting you know, all of our members get a free copy of insert free course. Is it cool if I send it on here?" Right? If you don't reply, you don't reply. If you reply and say, "Yeah, Jonah, that'd be great. I'll send it over to you." Great, Jonah. Here's the free thing here. Hey, by the way, feel free to make a post in the Facebook group and introduce yourself. Just say something like this. Just say, "Hey, I'm based in insert location. My topic is insert location. Has anyone here got tips for a new course creator?" Oh, and by the way, just attach a photo of yourself to make it more personal, because I know that's what gets engagement.
Ah, you're teaching them
Because
right there how to, yeah,
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 exactly, right? So let's
yeah.
say if Jonah joined my Facebook group, he'd get that message from me. He makes a post, "Hey, I'm Jonah. I'm from, I don't even know, where are you in the USA, Jonah?"
I'm in Minneapolis at the moment.
There we go. "Hey, I'm from Minneapolis. Hey, I work for Teachable, or I got a course that teaches course creators or whatever. Any tips for me?" And then a photo of Jonah. The photo gets more engagement. People are just going to go in there and be like, and like, providing your group is supportive, people are just going to like and comment and say hello. Like,
Right.
"Hey, welcome, you're welcome. I'm from Minneapolis too. I grew up in Minneapolis. Oh, you use Teachable? I use Teachable too. Or, hey, here's my biggest tip here." It just, because there's a lot of things going on with that post, but in a nutshell, you're kind of like making a post looking for commonality. People are going to be like, "Oh, I'm in that, I teach that topic too," or "I'm from that location too." You're also asking a question. There's a CTA, which is going to get engagement because people love giving their tips, right? So you're kind of, giving those people in the group an opportunity to share their tips. And also the photo's more engaging as well because it's a photo of you. It's not like, and that's what gives the group a good experience. Compare it to like links. Say you go into a group and it's just links of, mock-ups of their course or whatever, or there's a group that's like, "Hey, I'm Jonah, here's where I'm from," and a photo of him smiling. One's a way better experience, right?
Yep.
So that's an easy one anyone can do. And this is like a double-edged sword. It's kind of like, if you don't have a lot of members coming in, great, it should be easy. Take you 2 or 3 minutes. If you have a lot of members coming in, do what you can. It's good because you're getting a lot of members in. You may not be able to do it yourself. Great, that's where you might outsource it to a virtual assistant. Or the other beautiful thing about this thing here is it becomes part of the culture. Because what happens is maybe Jonah doesn't see my DM. Maybe it goes to his other mail or whatever it is, right? Or maybe I forget to send it to him, or I'm busy or whatever it is, so he doesn't see that. But when he's scrolling through the feed, he's like, "Oh, hold on. Everyone here's just introducing themselves when they join the group. That's maybe what you do in
I
this
should
group.
do that. Yeah.
I'm going to go and do
Yeah.
this even without the prompt. So you're kind of like it's like that. It's harder work at the start, but once that becomes part of the culture, you need to do less of it, and people just start doing it. And it gets to the point like fitness education online. I don't have the time to do it for everyone there, right? But if I see the group engagement dying down a bit, then I just go back in and do it. Oh, I better get some of these,
Right,
going
right, right.
ask people to, and then it kind of lights that fire again. It runs itself for a couple months or a couple weeks or whatever, So that's an easy one that anyone can do there. And also, I'll just add to that as well. The other thing with that is like, if you join a group and don't post straight away, you may never see a post in that group ever again, depending on how many groups you're in and
Right.
that sort of stuff there, right? But if you join a group and you make a post, okay, great. Well, Facebook's probably going to show you more of that stuff in your feed anyway. You're more likely to see other stuff, especially if people are liking and commenting and then you're replying to that. It just means that's more likely to appear. Other posts are more likely to appear in your feed, and then it just snowballs from there. So it's kind of like a little bit of work at the start, but it's not that much work. But there's so much benefits that come from that in terms of like the culture of your group and the algorithm and that sort of stuff there. So that's an easy one there. Another easy one, it depends where you are in your course creation stage, but I always like to have a couple action tasks in my courses, right? Now I'll give a few examples here. You may have that introduction one as well. In your introduction, you may take a 2-minute video. Hey guys, just before we get started, look, we got a Facebook group as well. Just make a post, introduce yourself. Here's the post that you're going to make, right?
This
It's
is
like
in
an
your
action.
this is in your course.
Paid course. Yeah. Paid course or free course, right?
Right.
I have it in my paid course for sure.
But you're
even
cross-talking your courses
yeah,
to your Facebook group. Yep.
yeah, because
Yep.
maybe let's use that example. Maybe someone's listening to this, Johnny. There's no way I'm, DMing everyone that joins my group and asking them to make a post. I'm not doing that, right? Totally cool, right? But just have it as an action task in your paid course or your free course, and then it's essentially the same thing is going to happen anyway, and you don't need to go and DM them, right? Awesome. I'll give you some other examples as well. In my fitness education online course, I've got one of them is a course around kettlebells, how to use kettlebells, that sort of stuff, right? I've got an action task in there on the workout side of things. I'm like, hey, here's my 10 favorite kettlebell workouts. But hey, we got a Facebook group with 15,000 trainers. You want some more ideas? Make a post in there and just ask everyone what their favorite workout is. You're going to go from having 10 workouts in this course to another 50 just from other members of the group. And then it's the same kind of thing, right? People are going to go there and they're like, what's like, and all people will share that thing there, right? And that's just a simple in my course creator group, right? One of the action tasks is I ask people, hey, people, just creating my new course. What platform do you recommend? And everyone obviously says Teachable. It's just Teachable. But it's another way that people get to ask that question there, and everyone wants to kind of share their thing there. So it's another simple way you can do it. Just think of that, and also the key with that is it's got to be a win for the person posting. Like, I've done courses before and they're like, oh, go and make this post and take a photo of your goals and post it on the group to keep you accountable. And I'm just like, I don't really need that, At least with that kettlebell example, there's a win. It's kind of like, hey, you paid for this course. Do you want an extra 50 workouts for free on top of that? Just make this post, So it's like, it's a real win for that person to want to post, right? And then once again, I make sure that I make the question engaging that they're going to ask, and then those same benefits work. That person's like, man, this is sick. I just made a post and 50 people gave me tips on it. I'm going to post in here again, right? Other people are going to see that and be like, man, all you got to do is ask a question. You get 50 replies. I'm going to ask, what's your favorite barbell workout, your running workout, your ab workout, your bum workout, whatever it is. And then that person that's posting is going to get 50 comments and is going to see more posts from it. So it just sets the culture and the algorithm again. Right? So that's another simple one. The down point to that one is obviously you need to have people going through your course. If you're a new course creator, it's going to be a little bit harder, right?
But that idea of cross-talking your platforms is valuable if you're doing newsletter trades, ask new subscribers to go to your Facebook group. Yeah, that is incredibly valuable as just a concept. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll give one more quick tip as well that I think will help a lot of people here as well, is what I call the redirect, right? I'm big on time management. And if you get a bit of a following or you're selling a few courses, like you're going to get people DMing you, asking you questions, emailing you, asking you questions, calling you, asking you questions, whatever it is. I redirect essentially what I say. Let's say Jono sends me a message. Hey, John, I'm in your Facebook group. Or I'm doing your course. And hey, I just got a question about this thing here. What do you think of this as a Facebook group name? I'm going to be like, Jonah, that's an awesome question. I got the perfect answer. Hey, can you do me a favor? You reckon you can post that in the Facebook group? Because I think the rest of the group members are going to have some really good answers as well. And I want everyone to see my answer. Is that okay? And then you'll post that. So any question I get, I don't want to get in that one-on-one trade time unless you're paying me for my one-on-one trade kind of time,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, yep, great, happy to answer it, but post that in the Facebook group, right? Now, I only check my Facebook group once every 24 hours anyway, right? So let's say someone sent me a message and I'm like, yep, go and post it in the Facebook group, right? I'm not going to check that till 7 a.m. tomorrow, but I know that other people are going to have been answering that there. So it's a win for that person there. I don't need to go and answer now and then they're going to ask a question back and then I answer. I don't want to get in that trade. I'm like, great, happy to help you out, post in the group, and I'll answer it tomorrow. I don't like my thinking is, and I'll answer it tomorrow. But I know even before I get to it, there's going to be other people answering it, and then I'll still go and give my answer there. And providing I do have a good answer, that makes me look like an absolute rock star. People are going to be like, oh, Jono's comment, what a good thing, And then once again, what am I doing? I'm setting up the culture. Chances are next time because providing that person posts and they get a lot of engagement, next time they're not going to send me a DM and ask me the question. They're just going to post straight in the Facebook group, right? Other people are going to see that post and be like, oh, okay, you just need to post here and people will answer it, And then that person getting an engagement, so they're more likely to see it again. Like all these strategies are kind of like, they're a little bit of work at the start, but once you've got them in place, like they run themselves and they just keep that they keep the engagement in your group going, which then in turn grows your Facebook group, which gets more people in there. And it's just like, it's an easy, once you've got that, it's an easy cycle. And it's kind of like, it's not a lot of, it's just like a little bit of doing the right stuff at the start. And then the group just runs itself, has engagement on its own, gets members on its own. Like compare that to someone that hasn't done these little things. Like it's hard work if you haven't done these little things. You're not getting new, because even just getting fresh people in there helps with engagement. It's kind of like, let's say you've got a group with 100 people, Jonah. I've got a group with 100 people, but I get 20 new people or whatever the numbers, 1,000, but I get 20 new people in there every week. It's just common sense that I'm going to get more engagement because there's new people in there. They're going to have new questions. I can post the same stuff and they haven't seen it before because they're new, So yeah, that's my take there. Facebook groups, if you just do a little bit of this right stuff early on, it becomes so easy. If you don't do this right stuff, it's just a grind forever and so hard that you probably end up giving up because it's not worth the effort. And I think we saw a few of those comments there before.
Yeah. Well, and I'm reflecting back there at like.
Oh, can I quickly answer a couple of these? Jonah, can I answer a couple of these?
Yeah,
a couple of these.
Annette's question.
Yep. So two of them. Also ads. Yeah. So I don't Annette for a couple of different reasons. Number one, Facebook don't allow. There's a way you can do it, but you can't run it straight to the actual group. I know because I tried it and my ad account got banned. So don't do what I do.
Don't try that.
Yeah, if you want to, you can send them to a landing page, and that landing page has the link to the group on it. But I wouldn't do that because, like, if I'm going to spend, my personal take is if I spend money on Facebook ads, I want to make money back. So what I would do instead is what I do instead, is I spend money on Facebook ads to promote my courses. I make money back on those courses, and the people that don't buy the course join my Facebook group. It's kind of like, hey, do you want to buy the course? Great, here you go. If you don't buy it, great, join the Facebook group. So I think that's a better strategy than using ads there. So Laura, so Laura says private or public and why? I always go private because I want to have two reasons. Number one, I want to have some sort of say of who I let in and let out. So there's a lot of people that I don't let in because they're not fits, right? If they were public, they would get in there, and then that kind of affects the algorithm. It affects the experience of the group. And on top of that, I want to collect email addresses as soon as people join the group. So if it's private, I've got 3 questions. Are you a insert thing, personal trainer, course creator? How did you hear about us? So I know what my marketing is doing. And drop your email, but use this wording exactly. Drop your email below if you'd like a free copy of insert course. Should we just rattle through some of these questions, Jonah, or should we do? What do you want to do?
We gotta while we answer Annette's question, and then we do have to wrap up for time. But you're a
Yep.
beast, man. There's so much to there's so much value here, and for everyone watching, if you haven't been taking notes, come back and just. I know for me, really internalizing, like I heard two things that really stood out for me. One was just culture, culture,
Yeah.
culture.
Oh,
You keep talking
yeah.
about the culture of a group and
Yeah.
focusing on that. And also early on, I think you had such solid advice, which is to wait until there's a demand to
Yeah.
start a Facebook group, that it is not gonna be your sole lead generation
Yeah.
from square one.
Yeah.
That's not how this works, but if
Yeah.
you have a little group, whether it's 20, 50, 100 people, then you're in a position to take advantage of all of these tools. And just having seen a lot of creators think like, "Oh, I wanna build a course, I need a Facebook group first," and then it just
Yeah.
spread the
No.
tendrils and get exhausted.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
I just recommend everyone too that you come back, rewatch this, and focus on the themes because Jono, you really were able to give so much value, but the underlying themes I think are just so powerful. But I would love to answer Annette's question, and then we just have to wrap up for time.
Yeah.
But everyone, thank you so much. We'll get this and then be signing off
Awesome.
soon.
So Annette says, "Do you use your group to launch your courses?" Yes, 100%.
Yep.
But I'll expand on that just a touch, just to give some context there. I use every trick in the book to launch my courses, but my two my two most powerful are email and Facebook group. Right. So I do if I've got a launch coming up, it's post on the Facebook group, but also email as well. And they work. They've both got their. Some people will just see the email. Some people just see the Facebook group. Some people see both. I do both of those. And I just also give a tip there as well about what is the actual strategy to sell the course. We don't have time to go into that now, but it's going to depend. Like depending on what the course is and the price point and the audience, some I can sell just by sending an email. Hey, here's a course. Go and buy it. Some I need to run a webinar, right? Hey, I got a webinar
Mhm.
coming up, give content, and then sell at the end of it. Some of them I need a phone call. Some of them I need to have a DM conversation, right? So it's not always as simple as just using a group and posting it. Like the sales is a whole nother side of it. We don't have time to go into it now, but in a nutshell, if I had to simplify that, yes, I use mainly my group and my email list.
Love it. Jono, thank you so much. This has been so fascinating and so valuable. We talk about various communities, and I also think a lot of your advice applies to any community platform.
Mm.
It's not just Facebook specific. And um, man, I'm reevaluating my own strategies with the group I want to launch soon after this. But I appreciate it so much. Everyone, hop in the comments. Thank Jono for his time, and check out his website is linked below in the description. And then, Jono, also, where's the best place for people to find you and learn more from you?
Yes. So best place would be to join my course creator community Facebook group. Can I put the link in the in
Drop it
this?
in the drop it in the private chat, and then if I post it in the comments, it'll be
Gotcha.
clickable there. So we'll make
Gotcha.
it easy
Okay.
for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's the one there. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love everyone, if you're a course creator, to join that Facebook group there. Is that clickable?
Yeah, it will on the YouTube side. It doesn't
Oh,
show in
gotcha.
StreamYard.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. So awesome. Yep. If you're watching live, just copy that link and paste it in, or just type in course creator community.
Yeah, Jono, once again, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, asking such good questions, being so engaged. I hope you learned as much as I did. And if you need to revisit the replay of this, it's on YouTube, on the Spotlight by Teachable YouTube. It'll also be emailed to you along with some additional resources and the links to Jono's community and website and all of that. If you RSVP'd for the event, Jono, any last little tidbit of advice you want to give folks on starting a Facebook group and
Ooh.
fostering these kind of communities before we sign off?
Look, yeah, I will actually. It's just the last little tip I would get is do it with a strategy,
Mm,
right? I think if you just start up a Facebook group and do it without a strategy, I think you're setting yourself up for fail. It's just really it's hard. It's if you know what you're doing, it's easy. If you don't know what you're doing, it's just really hard. It's kind of like trying to. It's like social media's evolved so much. It's not like it was 5, 10 years ago where like anyone could kind of do it. Now it's a skill set. It's kind of like
Yeah.
trying to learn guitar without a teacher or YouTube or anything, just picking up a guitar and trying to do it on your own. Like, it's going to be hard, right? So if you're going to do it, do a strategy. If you'd like my strategies, I've got a course that covers all that. Even if it's not my strategies, that's fine. Just find someone else's course, or do some research, whatever it may be. Find some sort of strategy that has ideally worked for someone else and that you can implement and do, and everything will be so much easier.
Love it. Jono, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day down there. And yeah, have a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We hope to see you all soon. And signing out, it's been a blast. We'll talk to you soon, Jonah.